understand you've served on 28 different boards, is that right?
I have, yes. Lots of scar tissue and pattern recognition.
Well, so you know wherever you speak. So I want to start off with Elon Musk and the Tesla board specifically, because he came out with his tweet saying that he was thinking about taking the company private and that he had lined up the financing for it. The board then came out yesterday with this statement. This is everything I had to say. Last week, Elon opened a discussion with the board about taking the company private. This included discussion as to how being private could better serve Tesla's long-term interests and also address the funding for this to occur. The board has met several times over the last week and is taking the appropriate next steps to evaluate this. That falls a little short of saying we've got the financing lined up.
Well, first of all, Elon Musk is a brilliant innovator, but he's just a disaster as a public company CEO. You know, you cannot treat your shareholders like they're private investors, and you can't behave like you're a private CEO when you're a public one. And the board has to assert themselves. You know, the board themselves are acting like a private company board. They're being reactive, not proactive. And when you look at it, the board, you know, it looks a little bit not ideal. You know, you've got a lot of co-investing, cross relationships. That's not what you look for in a company that's been public for 8 years.
So we had John Coffey of Columbia Law School, who's a corporate governance expert in the legal field, on earlier in this program. And we asked him what the board should do. And he said the board should start distancing itself from what Elon Musk had to say so that it's Elon Musk's problem, if there is a problem here, rather than Tesla's problem. What do you think?
I think that's ridiculous. The board is responsible for the CEO, and they are the oversight mechanism for the shareholders. If they have a cowboy, they got to reel him in. You know, you have to be proper in your communications with the market. That's what Reg FD says. You don't get to dribble out information. You don't get to say you have financing when you don't have financing. You know, the SEC will look into this as potential fraud.
So let's move on to a second board problem, which is a complex one, which is CBS, because they already were in the middle of a fight with the majority shareholder of the voting shares in Sherry Redstone. And then we had the allegations of impropriety from Les Moonves come up. How is the board doing in handling that very difficult situation?
Well, you know, when you're a public company director, you have three obligations. You have a duty of loyalty to the shareholders, you have a duty of care to make a careful, informed decision, and then you got to make a business judgment. So their loyalty is to the CBS shareholders. That's where their duty of loyalty is. So they have to look at all the opportunities. Do you buy all of Viacom, part of Viacom? Do you sell yourself to Verizon? Do you take a Lionsgate deal? You have to figure that out. And simultaneously, they have to run that special committee with focus. The special committee investigation, you have to have a scope. You're looking at the CEO or the whole company?
Well, and let's talk about the special committee right now investigating Les Moonves specifically. I talked yesterday to Ken Langone, you know, the co-founder of Home Depot, and he knows Les, and he sort of had conflicting feelings, which I think a lot of people who know Les feel. Here, listen to what he had to say.
Les Moonves was and is a friend of mine, and he always will be. And I don't judge anybody. Whatever it is, if you do that, it's bad. There's no rationalization or none of that, okay? But if each of us don't remember the kindness of people, no matter what their sin, something's wrong with us.
So, on the one hand, what he did was bad, if it's true, what was alleged. On the other hand, you can't forget the good he's done.
Well, he's performed well as a CEO in terms of the performance of the company. So that's a consideration, but not in what the special committee is going to look at.
Well, and it seems like we've dealt with two boards that are kind of not there. Like, one is not taking any kind of action in terms of CBS, really. And then you have Elon Musk's board that's like asleep at the wheel. They're all like, you know, investing together. Intel, though, is sort of a third story that may have gone too far when they just ousted their CEO and really kind of left this company in a little bit of chaos.
I think you're absolutely right. You know, when there is a question of impropriety on behavior, you have to take it seriously. But companies have to look at their fraternization policies and refresh them. A third of everyone meets their spouse or boyfriend or girlfriend at work. you need a clear policy. You know, in Silicon Valley, the geeks, the software people, they're asking human resources, how many times can I ask her out before I'm a stalker? Is it 3? Is it 5? Is it 7? Well, when she turns the other way when she sees you in the hall, it's a hint. But, you know, people are looking for guidelines. So, you know, here you had a consensual relationship. Nobody complained that, you know, bad things occurred. And then you had the board make this decision. You hurt the shareholders when you leave a company without a CEO. Stock's going to tank. There's distraction. There's no leadership. There's a void. You know, you are working for the shareholders. You're not the morality police.
But you make a great point. If you're on a board, you can move too fast or you can move too slow. It's awfully hard to get the right place because you see other boards let it drag on and drag on, and people are saying, what are they doing? Why aren't they moving? On the other hand, you can jump the gun too quickly. How on a board do you get that right?
Well, you know, you have to actually make every decision. If you make a decision saying, every penny of mine, my family, my village is invested here, and I am making a decision for the interests of everybody. If you make that with your true north and you go quickly, you'll be fine. Because it's practical common sense, right? You can't leave a company without a leader. That's not the wrong thing. You can't leave a company with a predator at the helm. That's not the right thing. You need to be sure you had some succession bench strength within the company, or you're an incompetent board. You know, there are a few guidelines here, and crises will happen. Be prepared. You can't be like United Airlines, caught on your back foot, and then call a meeting and 2 days later look paralyzed and come out with a lawyerly statement. You need to be authentic.